Okay, cool. Thanks for joining, Dan Deppen. Today, joined by Eddie from Propstream. As you guys know, I have a whole business where I buy notes, and then I've got another one where I help investors originate seller finance notes. And one of the tools I've been using, well, I've used for a long time, but I've especially used a lot over the last month or so. When I discovered they had some features that I wasn't aware of, and upgraded my account. So I use it heavily in both sides of my notes business for finding creators of seller carryback notes and finding distressed properties. And there's some really cool skip tracing features in it, which are pretty scalable and easy to use. And so I've been talking to those folks, and they were kind enough to come together and do a webinar. So Eddie here from the PropStream team is going to give us some more in-depth view of it, and I'll probably learn some things it does that I wasn't aware of. So, all right, there you go.
Yeah, thanks, Dan. Yeah, absolutely, because we are absolutely changing a lot as we speak. Like I'm watching the team Slack messages come through, and so I know what's about to come through. I know what we just clicked on and is available to all of you now. So there's definitely a lot of momentum in terms of how we're constantly updating the system. But thank you for having me today. I really appreciate it. Hopefully, this brings a
Yeah.
lot of value to everyone that's on the call today. Because that's the goal. I mean, I've been in, just to give you a little backstory on me, I've been in real estate myself for over 22 years. So it's not just, oh, Eddie happens to work with Propstream. No, it's one of the reasons why this all came together with Propstream is from just my history and my background. So I also hold a portfolio of investment properties myself, as well as being a broker, owner, consultant, agent, team leader, you name it. I've worn all the hats inside the business. So it comes from a kind of a perspective of, yeah, I've done it. So this is a really interesting, these are always interesting conversations because hopefully, a couple, two, three things that I might share with all of you today really lands. And yeah, we're going to, talk about it through the lens of PropStream because you know this, Dan. It's tough to just kind of maintain one platform, or you've got to you like this platform a little bit for this, and you like this platform a little bit for that, and you try to make it all come together. And what we're trying to do at PropStream is really, at least for those that are just getting started too, find a way to just hone in on, kind of put the blinders on, so to speak, the way the racehorses do, and just
Yeah.
get a discipline going and get momentum going and start getting into conversations with these people that, are kind of almost raising their hands saying, I could use somebody's help to dispose of my property, sell my property, whatever it might be. And so with PropStream, we're going to dive into the data. So if we're ready, we'll just get right onto the screen. Should we do
Yeah,
that?
go for it. Yeah, that sounds good.
Awesome. So I'll give a quick story on what PropStream is, just for those of you who are brand new and this is the first time you're hearing it. PropStream is a real estate data company. Okay, so we've aggregated all of the data throughout the United States, which is why I start with this screen so that you can just get a visual of the access to data that's available to all of you when you're a member, a subscriber. So you're going to get access by way to the data by way of the feeds that come in. There are multiple feeds that come in. That's one of the questions we get all the time. How updated is this, right? It's updated multiple times a day. So that's feeds from the MLSs, anything that's ever been on the MLS. So it's not necessarily currently on the MLS, but everything that's been on the MLS, has ever been on the MLS, and of course, all public records. And when it comes to that, we're talking about residential, commercial, and vacant land. Okay, so all those opportunities are inside of PropStream. Okay, so that's kind of how we start high level. And of course, really the goal with that is beyond having access to all the data is how are we using the data? How are we leveraging the data to find opportunities for ourselves, whether we're real estate agents or investors, regardless of what it is. I know this group is a room full of investors, so we want to kind of double click into some of those specific examples on how an investor potentially would use it to find opportunities. Essentially, you're instead of just kind of this wide approach, we're getting more laser focused with who we're trying to reach. And that comes by way of the filtering system, which is right here. Okay. So if I back out for a moment, here you're going to search in the top left corner by way of zip code, multiple zip codes up to five. You can search by county, you can search by city and state, and you can go right to an address if you wanted to, a specific address if you were doing some research on a particular property, and also by PIN number, property identification number, APN number. They're known by several different things, but you get the idea. It's the unique identifier for that property. So that's where you can search. So let's see who's out there. Just someone in the chat, if the chat is open. I'm not sure. I didn't ask you, Dan, but if the chat is open,
Yeah, it's open.
cool. Someone drop in a zip code or a market that you serve right now, just so we can make it contextual to some of you in the room. Just go ahead, whatever you got, whatever you're currently working. Beautiful. Thank you, Damien. Fast on the trigger. 10134. Thanks, Steve. I got it as well. Thank you for that. 101.
I'm sorry. It's 19134. I
Oh,
Yeah,
19134.
yeah.
Too fast on the trigger, my friend.
Too fast.
Here we are, Pennsylvania.
Yes.
Thank you for that. So all I did was put in that zip code, right? So immediately I'm already looking at that market specifically. And you'll see here, let me move my screen out of the way here, or my windows out of the way. Here, that's better. Right here on the right, you'll see the totality of what's in that zip code. Again, encompassed by MLS, property records, public records rather, excuse me, all of it. So it's 25,949 properties in this zip code. Okay. So that's a great way to start, but then we want to layer in other filters, right? We want to layer in that opportunity that I mentioned at the beginning, right? Instead of just sending something, a message, an email, a postcard, or whatever it is to all 25,000, that wouldn't be very effective. It wouldn't be a smart use of your money, et cetera, as a business owner. So let's dial that in a little bit further. And so this is where you go into the filters. And for those of you who missed that, I just clicked right here on filters in top center. Okay. Obviously, some of these bubbles are going to populate with some other statistics and information. You can also look at a heat map, which I think for this room is super important. You can go to analytics and look at MLS, I'm sorry, estimated values, and see where the values are trending, right?
See, that's
So
one of
you
those
can
things I
see
didn't
if
know
it,
was there. I never noticed that. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
This is a great, without even touching the filters, and I'm glad you mentioned that, Dan, because this is good for you too. Because without even touching the filters, you can at a glance see where those trends are happening, and maybe because this is the values are trending a certain direction, that's where you may want to focus. You also have MLS stats you can zero in on, price growth. This might be really important if you're going to maybe acquire a piece of property and feel like that market is trending up, right? If we did 1 year growth, there's a couple of red pockets in here, right? Mostly by and large, it's all yellow, so pretty much flat, which a lot of the market is, of course. But let me just take this off here. That's just another layer, right? And so before I click into the filters, just want to show you because I want you all to start thinking about how I'm using this information. It's not just what I think, what I'd like to search for. Let me do some due diligence, right? So then you can bring up the statistics for this particular zip code. And again, I'm going to be able to see where are the trends. What is this moving up? Is it moving down? Average list price is down. Average list per square footage. See, days on market, of course, are going up 34%. That's a big jump, right? In the last 30 days, right? You can back it out a year if you wanted to. So again, a lot of good pre-work that can be done here as opposed to, that's the whole point of data is that you don't want to guess. You want access to good data. First of all, you want access to data, but then it has to be good data so that you can then make real decisions on it, okay? So just a few couple little highlights there, and I'm glad that Dan picked up on one of those. So I'm going to click back up on filters. This is this is what I refer to as the 1-2 punch. The first punch is getting access to all the data. The second combo punch that comes in right after is the ability to refine this list. You'll see that this number of 25,000 I mentioned earlier just carried over to this bubble right here. And you're going to see this number continue to go down as we affect some of these filters. Okay. At the very top, and there's over 165 filters here. So as I'm going through these, I'm going to go through them relatively quickly, but I want you to maybe jot down or just maybe have hopefully a light bulb moment as you're seeing these filters as to how you would use them, how you would integrate them. Because the secret sauce here is combining some of these, not just clicking on one and creating a list and calling it a day, right? You really want to get refined. And the reason why you want to get refined, which we'll touch on here in a moment, because this is important, the reason why you want to get refined and not have a list of 25,000, although you can do that, no one's telling you not to. But in my experience, when I have a nice sharp list of 73, 118, 212, 54, that is a list that's so well refined that you know exactly who's on the other end of that door if I knock on that door. Does that make sense? Right? You know exactly what they're going through. And I love the shaking of the heads. Thank you all for contributing. I appreciate that. Because that's how your message lands. If you just hi, my name is Eddie. I'm a real estate investor. I can help you sell your house, or I'd like to love to buy your house. Kind of just falls flat. The bandit signs are out there. We all see them, right? But if you come in and you say, I specialize in helping older people that are looking to downsize, that are going through trouble financially in this, what market were we in? In this market of Pennsylvania. I missed the city here.
Philly.
This Philly. We're in Philly.
Philadelphia,
In
yeah.
this, yeah, in this section of Philly, now you are specific, you are a specialist, and now you've got their attention because you focus specifically on their situation. Let's do that right now. At the top, you're going to see the lead lists. This is kind of a shortcut way of doing it, right? I fall short of calling it a cheat sheet because it's really not that. But as you get used to the platform, there may be some you want to just click into and go, right? And so these numbers are already populating with certain types of experience or situations for these people. So there's of the 25,000, you got 266 that are bank owned, 145 are failed listings. Four of them have liens. Those are not mortgages. Those are like HOA liens, tax liens, etc. High equity, 18,000, or what is that, 19th? I can't even see anymore. 19,000, which doesn't surprise anybody, right? Because there are a lot of people that have equity in their home because a lot of people bought with low interest rates or certainly leverage those low interest rates and pay down their debt. So that's to be expected. Pre-probate, upside down, vacant land, etc. Now, we can click on these, but I want to take you through this tour, if you will, of what's available inside the filtering for those light bulb moments that I'm hoping you'll all get. Now, just stick with me. I'm just gonna go ahead and start to click on some just for the sake of the storytelling. So in this case, I'm going to click on residential, but you could have gone commercial vacant land. And in this case, I'm going to go single family. But again, could have gone townhouse, condo, whatever your flavor is. And it's important to understand what your flavor is. Like, who are you usually, quote unquote, going after, right? What kind of leads are you specializing in? And I would argue that it's good if you're just starting in this business to really have that already thought out. It doesn't mean that that's what you stick with for the rest of your career. But if you could jot down two or three scenarios, type of people, markets, areas, etc., property types that you want to be proficient at, I would encourage you to start there. So single family, let's just say just a nice traditional 3 bedroom. But again, because I want to see the characteristics of filters that are available. So I'll 3 bedroom, but you can choose lot size, building size, year build, number of stories. Like one that is great for a lot of investors too is people that are downsizing. So like people that are senior owners, which is one of the filters in here, by the way. I don't know if you saw it at the very top, but it'll repeat itself here at the bottom. Because there's people that have a lot of equity that live in 4,000 square feet and they're 70 years old. They probably are likely inclined to sell at some point soon, right? And maybe get that little condo on the water if you're near the water, but you get the idea, right? So it's painting those pictures of the likelihood of someone needing to sell, move on, etc. Because they're not all distressful, negative situations. Some of them are, unfortunately, but not all of them.
Yeah, the other thing I like in here in the filters is like the search for filters that's at the top. Like
Yes,
I use that a lot because a lot of times I'm looking for something, I'm not sure where the heck it is. Yeah.
100%. Yeah, absolutely. To be able to find those filters, which
Hmm.
again, you can find a filter right here, right? And you just start typing, start typing and see what comes up for you. But that's a great point. Thank you. So as we scroll down, we're going to go ahead and just go. There's association, yes or no, pool, garage, and it's not just garage, yes, it's what kind of garage. So again, very, very specific, very, very detailed. So just because you see it like this doesn't mean that there isn't more underneath it. Basement, attic. Propstream intelligence, I'll pause here. This one's really, really powerful. Propstream Intelligence is our AI component inside of Propstream, and it serves two purposes. One is to understand the condition of the property by way of photos that are available, right? So not every property is going to have photos because it hasn't been on the MLS for a very long time or never, which is the case. But if it has and there's photos, it's able to quote unquote look at the photos like you and I would if we walked through the door and know that that kitchen hasn't been renovated in 15, 20 years, right? or that the overall structure is not in great condition. So the AI is doing that for you. So if you wanted to refine your list quickly by the quote unquote ugly ducklings, right? The ones that you could see some potential for repair, this would be a really good filter to use. I won't use it right
Yeah,
now. Mhm.
and for me too, the foreclosure factor is kind of nice because I'll buy non-performing loans. And so I know it doesn't work for every property address, but the ones I guess where there's enough data, it gives you an indication of the likelihood of foreclosure. So if you've got a non-performing note, it gives you an indication of your probability of wheeling it around or not. So it's
Absolutely.
particularly helpful for this crowd.
Yeah, no, definitely, and that's the one I was going to probably spend more time on. So I appreciate you bringing that one up, Dan. Because yeah, for those of you who don't understand what foreclosure factor is, we all know foreclosure and pre-foreclosure, and what we know that they have in common is that a legal notice will go out, and so everybody and I affectionately say this, right? Because I'm an older guy and I use these kind of euphemisms, but everyone and their grandma knows about it when that happens, right? So because their legal notice has to go out. But this foreclosure factor is before even pre-foreclosure. So it's before those legal notices go out. So wouldn't it be nice to know, again, based on all the data that PropStream has access to, that you would have access to, the likelihood or the propensity towards foreclosure? And that's how you would then trigger this foreclosure factor. And it's a score of, or a selection process, everything from very low to very high. So why don't we use this one? I think this one's appropriate, right? Let's apply some pressure to this potential situation. Let's go medium high to very high. Well, that brought us down to one. So maybe there isn't that many that are in that situation. And I believe we saw that in the bubbles at the very top. There weren't many. So let's just go medium low. It still only brought in one. So maybe this is not this. Maybe that won't be a good. This won't be a good
Yeah,
market
and
for
where
that.
I tend to use this one is like there will be a non-performing note for sale. So I'm looking at that specific property and then I'm looking at the foreclosure factor within the
Oh, okay.
property
Well, let me
view
see.
versus filtering so much. Yeah.
But I must have maybe
There's another
three.
one. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. Because I went down to let me clear this out. Let's see if it
Yeah, that neighborhood technically does have a lot of defaults and foreclosures and stuff. So I would think that you'd see stuff in there in that zip code.
in this particular zip code. Yeah, I mean, maybe let me just back this out here. I mean, again, because I did
Oh, you
pigeonhole us,
got
if
the
you
other
will.
filters. Yeah.
Yeah, I've got maybe just too many filters for that, right? So now we're back up
Yeah,
to
There
two
you go.
142.
bathrooms.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Most of them are three beds and one bath. They're like a lot of row homes in there. That
perfect. Well,
neighborhood.
that explains it. That explains.
Yep.
So that's why it jumped right up. So I removed those, but you know that it's there. Then the MLS, of course, for most of us here, well, maybe not necessarily, but for most of us, we might be looking for off-market opportunities, not ones that are on the MLS currently, right? So we might trigger this off-market one. Um, we're going and then select more criteria that in case it was on the MLS, right? What kind of status it's currently in, days on market, this kind of thing. So it might be fun to pick up ones that have been on the market for much longer than the market norm, right? So 180 days or even more, right? 360 days plus, and be like, hey, what the heck? What's going on with this property, right? You may want to look at that. And this is the traditional pre-foreclosure and bank owned. So here you're going to you can include or exclude those, right? So you can include the pre-foreclosure, the recording dates, the bank owns, those recording dates, bid amounts, default amount, all that's here available to you too, if you want to filter it down. Obviously, we're in a smaller, the results were only 25,000, but if you're working with a pool of, 200,000, then you may want to, filter it down a little bit further. I think this 142 is a manageable number. It still allows me to kind of share or spotlight some of these filters for you. Owner information and occupancy. This is also a very powerful one, right? Because if they're not even living in the house anymore, you can say owner occupied. We'll leave this as any, but vacant, yes. What does that do to us? Brought us down to eight. So from 142 to eight, we know that there's eight that not only is there this potential situation, although we unclicked it in this scenario, right? We unclicked it, but run with me for a moment. If there was enough of a pool of properties in this particular subsection, we had clicked on distress of possible pre-foreclosure, and then could have clicked on vacant. So that again amplifies or doubles the weight of the owner that's going through this situation, this property, right? They're under distress and it's also vacant, so it's costing them money, right? So that I just want to paint those pictures for you if that's helpful. Years of ownership is also very important to know. That's also kind of maybe not all the time, but also equate to how much equity they have in the property, although we have those filters here further down. Ownership type is interesting too, individual, corporate, mixed, or trust. Their absentee location. So they could be out of state or out of county. And then, of course, the last sale price. This one's also interesting too, number of properties owned, right? Because we can filter, we know how many properties Jim Jones owns in Atlanta, or I'm sorry, in this case, Philly. I was working at Atlanta scenario earlier today. In this case, Philly. So we know that he owns multiple properties, right? And so we know he's an investor. So we know he might be obviously more astute at having a conversation with us, right? So that's really could be very telling in terms of knowing who you're dealing with.
And Eddie, I think Steve had a
Um,
question in the chat. So is
yeah,
all of this data coming out of the county records, or do you have other data sources that you pull in from?
yeah, it's county records. We have other proprietary sources as well as the MLS.
Okay.
Yep. But yes, definitely county. It's coming from the county as well. And it all just kind of mixes in and verifies itself, et cetera, right?
Mhm.
Um, but great question. Thank you. And thanks for fielding the question there. I missed that. Liens, bankruptcies, and divorce. Again, other powerful filters, right? To stack on top. If someone was going into potential bankruptcy, in this case, yeah, there's two, right? And goes back to what I was saying earlier is now when you're starting to contact these people, you know how you can either pen that email, that postcard, or start to initiate that conversation because you know from what perspective they're what situation they're going through. And then of course divorce, that was also incredibly powerful as well. Tax delinquency is in here. So you can choose what year they were potentially tax delinquent. Again, another sign of stress or distress, or yeah, stress, distress, and stress. Value and equity. We got a question there. Do we want to field this one?
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Hi, we're currently Batch. Does Propstream work with Batch, or can we transfer this membership over to Propstream? Great question. So Batch is separate from Propstream right now. We're in the middle of integrating things. As a matter of fact, now we have a dialer component inside of Propstream, and what we're recommending for our guests, our customers for the Batch side is continue to use Batch if that's where you're doing your work. It's perfectly fine. Or if you're on PropStream, if you want to add in Batch Dialer, would be for those of you who are like doing more volume in terms of calls and outreach. That's kind of the tandem there. But if you're currently using Batch, keep using Batch. We're maintaining both companies, although the Batch is not owned by PropStream, we're maintaining them separate for the time being. So, and we're actually offering discounts and stuff coming up. We're going to launch some new ones for all of you. Value and equity, but thank you for the question. Value and equity on the property, of course, estimated value, rental income, estimated equity. This one's obviously a really powerful one, right? We want to make sure they have enough in there. I went with 60% equity, so that's brought us down to 99 properties. Mortgage info, how many open mortgages? This is obviously for this room is going to be important to know, what mortgages are open, the recording dates, the type of loan that's there. Conventional, here I'll show all for this room, of course. Conventional, FHA, VA, credit line, reverse mortgage, commercial, construction, other, and unknown. So sometimes they're just not recorded properly, so they fall under the unknown category. And then their monthly payments and their interest rate.
Do you
This
know
is also helpful
generally
to know.
where does hard money loans, what loan type do they fall under?
We've seen them fall under other,
Other, okay.
yeah, other. Because unknown is
It's
frankly unknown. Hard loans fall under other.
it does say construction would possibly be under construction or
Or is that new construction only?
Yeah, that's typically a new construction loan. And not
okay.
necessarily with a new builder, right? Just a construction loan, because those are marked accordingly as construction loans. Interest rate types. I mentioned that one. First loan to current value, first loan to current value LTV. It's equity as well as in here. And then the last ones are the cash buyer free and clear. And cash buyer is, for those that are curious, kind of ties in with what I said earlier about someone who owns multiple properties. You'll also be able to know that those properties, let's just say that this owner owns six properties, right? And you can see it in the property details of a property, which I'll show you here in a moment, so you can see what those detail cards look like. You'll also be able to know whether those properties obviously are free and clear, but also if they were bought cash, right? Because now you know you're talking with somebody who's acquiring properties with cash, and that might be someone you want to have on your acquisition side, right? Your buyer side, people that you would go to dispose of a property to them. And then, of course, seller carryback, which Dan, I know you mentioned you use this one, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I use that a lot.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
And you can here include or exclude. So we're down to 99 properties in this list, right? So we refined the list, and this is the list now that we could then take action on. So the numbers now carried over here. Here are my 99, and I can take action on this list, and I'll show you what I mean by that in a moment. But I want to spotlight what I just mentioned, which is the details page. This is where you're going to see all of the information for each individual property. In this particular case, 3548 Janney in Philly, and this is the property card for that property. Okay, so as you all would be familiar with seeing the details on the property, the value, mortgage and debt. This one doesn't seem to have any mortgages on it. And this opportunity window is like more for a wholesale play. It's, giving you kind of this is just a discount on the estimated value as what you might potentially offer for this property if that's your investment play for this one. Propstream intelligence band comes in. It didn't pick up any property condition because likely there's no interior photos. Yeah, there aren't any, which is why it came up with NA. And the foreclosure factor is very low, which is obvious. Why? Because there's no mortgages. And then as you
Hmm.
scroll down, you're going to see all the details on this property. You're going to see MLS details. This one's currently active.
That's active.
This one's currently active. Yep. This one's currently active. The comps and nearby listings. This is a really handy tool. At PropStream, we spend a whole day training this. This is on Thursdays, where we train on how to use this feature so that you can then, before either if you're having a fruitful conversation with a potential seller, you can go in here and really do your due diligence in terms of refining what that value is, either to acquire it or if it's a rehab opportunity to what it's going to look like once it's nice and pretty. So this is a great calculator tool in here as well to generate a report. Also to quote unquote convince the seller that their property is not worth 200,000, it's only worth 180 because here are the comps and the properties are just like yours, Mr. Seller. So another really important tool to have as you're having conversation. Propstream Intelligence is just an exploded view of what we mentioned before in terms of the AI features, including the foreclosure factor. Demographics, again, good information to know, and this is not generic. It's down to a quarter mile of this particular property, so you'll know what the percentage of owners versus renters, type of housing, income brackets, average income, etc. Okay. Tax information is just that, of course, the tax rolls over the years, where the tax bill goes, etc. Link properties. Oh, fantastic example. We just got lucky. So this
Hmm.
particular owner owns 9 properties.
They're all in Philadelphia too.
Yep. They're all in Philadelphia. So what does this tell us?
He's
This
a real
guy,
estate investor.
yeah, 100%. And he seems to like own NSA townhomes. I think he's got a mix.
So I like using this kind of stuff, like if you're looking at land contracts, because the lender's on the title. So if you buy
Mm. Yeah.
CFDs like I do, then you can go in, you can see the other ones they own, so you kind of know if it's a one-off or they have multiple, and then not always, but sometimes in the sale history, it'll actually show the price that the CFD traded for last time, which can be helpful when you're offering on stuff.
So
That's
this
a
is the,
nugget.
yeah, I'm sorry, what were you saying, Damien?
I just said that's a nugget right there, Dan. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
Dan's comment. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So now we know that the Wozniaks, have an interest in these types of properties, and I can just from this window, I can click on it and then look at the details of that particular property, right? And start to do my research. And are they still acquiring? What are the dates on these acquisitions? Are they recent, or are they from 20 years ago, right? Are they still hungry? Are they still looking? So just a lot of really good information to have before you start having conversations or after. Mortgage and transaction history is just that, of course. You'll see what the current information is. Obviously, as we know, this one was cash. And you can buy, as you see these little PDFs, you can click on these and open up the docs. All you gotta do is pay for them. They're straight from the county as opposed to back in the day when we used to go to the county courthouse steps to get docs. You can just click and get them here. You just set up your account and you pay for them. It's nominal. I forget actually, to be honest, what that
It's
amount is.
$5. It always comes up as $5 for me.
$5. Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. So again, documents and the reports is another similar situation here where you're able to actually let me move my windows around here. Okay. Another situation where you can acquire those documents when available. Okay. And so now what do we do with this list? So we've created a list that is optimized for the people I'm trying to reach. And so now what we want to do is we want to start to have some kind of an outreach, right? We want to start to market. So what we've done so far is we've taken data and refined it down to an actionable list. In this case, it's 99 properties, but to whatever it is you're obviously searching for, the market you're searching for, the situation we're searching for. In this case, our resulting list is 99 properties. I could go through them and click on each one and look at each one and make sure I wanted to keep it on the list. But for today's conversation, let's just say we liked all 99 of these. And then I would click on actions and I would save these to a list. And now I'm gonna be prompted to create a marketing list. So I'm just gonna say Philly 99. I'm gonna create this new list. And I can just save this list, or I can take the extra step at this point to click on this box, which is a newer feature, and immediately not only save the list, but also skip trace it. For those of you who don't know what skip trace is, it's getting the contact information for these property owners. So I'm just going to rename it something similar. Philly 99. I'm just going to underscore skip because this skipped list, the resulting skipped list, which again is another step an additional step, gets saved somewhere else. So this way I can just kind of know which ones have been skipped, and I can place order. Now, of course, you'll see here there's a cost involved only if you have the essentials plan, which is the beginner plan, which is, I believe, at $99 to start is the essentials plan. And at that point, you can skip trace still, but you're paying a la carte. What you see here is 10 cents per match. If there is no match, if only 95 of these return a match, you only pay for the 95. So um, if if you're doing smaller lists, manageable lists, it's just a mathematical exercise, to be quite frank. The next step is pro. You get other features, plus the free skip tracing and lead automator, which I'll touch on what lead automator is here in a moment. Um, but that's an extra $100 a month as opposed to 99. So we're going to place the order. And you see at the bottom here, it's being saved. And where did those go? They went into my properties because we first started here. This is going to be your profile here, right? Your settings. This is the search that we just did all the work in. This is my properties, which I just clicked on here. And now that's saved to a marketing list. And if we scroll down, we will find it amongst my others. Here we are, Philly 99, and here they are. And again, I can click on each one, look at them independently, decide to delete some of these. I can select them and delete them. I can bring in other lists that maybe I've got other lists that I wanted to combine into this set. I could do that. I can also select them all or select a few and export them. You may want to export these to share them with a team member outside of the platform, although of course you have a team setup that you can do inside of Propstream, so you can have a separate username and password for team members if that's what you want to do. But if I wanted to export it, you could. Similarly, you can, like I said, you can import it. So there's nothing like, caged into Propstream. You can bring
Oh,
stuff
and
in.
Eddie, there was another question. So you were
Yeah.
showing us how to get like deeds and things like that. Like, is PropStream going to add like the ability to pull like BPOs or like title reports, ODs, that kind of thing?
Not that I'm aware of at the horizon. Yeah, not that I've
Okay.
seen. Great question. Thank you. Thank you for catching that. I missed that one. But no, not at this point.
And then I think Alicia was
Well,
asking the source of the skip tracing. Oh yeah, go ahead.
actually, CMAs, like it does CMAs. So that's pretty close to a BPO.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, specifically BPO. Okay, great. Thank you for clarifying that. If you're just thinking about an opinion of value or an evaluation, CMA, thank you. Yes, they're all very similar. And
Yeah.
basically that was the comps feature, which was here. So in here, I would select the comps for this property, right? That I liked. Let's say I didn't, that one didn't really fit. Although you can see it, it already pre-selects some. The reason why it's doing it is because the data knows which ones are more likely to be comparable to this particular property on Mercer. But it doesn't mean we have to select those. You can uncheck them and select others. As a matter of fact, I'm a fan of refining this a little bit further because I got 49 results. I'd like to, maybe zero this in terms of square footage, maybe bring this in a little bit tighter, maybe not go back a year, go back 6 months. The tighter you can get with your criteria, the more true that evaluation is going to result. But yeah, you can definitely select the ones that you want in here. And then what that looks like is will be a PDF report. So if I just we'll just go ahead and actually let's take action on that. And let's view the comps report. And you're going to see it's going to generate a report for me here in a second. Did it save it? Did it save it? Let me see. Oh, there it is. You should be able to see it on the screen. This is what it generated after I would have done all the work to make sure I picked the right comps, et cetera, et cetera. So yes, BPO, CMA, this is the functionality. And this is what I mentioned earlier. This is obviously not only good for you to understand what the property might be worth, but it's also further evidence when you're in conversation with a seller to say, this is why I'm offering you 180, not 200, because of these properties that sold around you in the last 3 or 6 months. Okay.
And
And then you can
I'll
print
add
this.
something too, that's really good for Propstream. Like, so you have, if you compare like doing a CMA on one MLS, right? It's not going to give you the public data on that MLS. As far as the MLSs that I'm in two MLSs, actually three, as an agent as well. But so you get to use the public data, but also in areas such as like North Jersey, we have like six or seven um, MLSs in North Jersey, right? And one big MLS in South Jersey. So the MLS button in PropStream covers all the MLSs in North Jersey. Whereas like if you went into like an individual MLS, like Hudson in New Jersey, you only see the Hudson comps. So you can
Yeah.
actually build a better CMA with PropStream than you can some MLSs. So.
You're 100% right. Because I talk to brokerages across the country, they're all different. They're all different. The offerings that agents get inside their portals, inside their dashboards by way of their MLSs are all vastly different. The access they have is just all different. So you're right. The reason why I like PropStream, and I even because I host these trainings also for real estate agents, and they're like, Eddie, well, why do I need it? I got access to the MLS, and there's also a little tax records function in there. I can go in there and said it's not the same. It's not the same to have all in one spot for efficiency and for accuracy, and then also to be able to generate your numbers. And I don't know if you guys caught it, but let me just get back to the screen. If and it even gets more specific to that because when I do this evaluation, this PDF that you just saw me generate, I can select the data set. I can just go public records if I wanted to. I can just go MLS if I want to, but you get access to both. 9 times out of 10, you probably want the most robust set of data, right? So you're going to want to incorporate both just to have all the information, but not necessarily. There might be times where you want something one or the other. But that's a great point. Thank you. So as we continue down with this list, so again, back to what I was saying is we generated a list. These are the 99 people that I want to talk to based on the people that I want to reach, based on my specialty, who I'm used to serving, et cetera, et cetera. That's my neighborhood, whatever it is. That's my price point, the type of property. Now I want to start to market to them. Before we go on to the marketing piece, I want to show you here real quick. You could skip trace here. So if I hadn't done it previously, you saw when I first created the list, if I had just created a marketing list and not skip trace it, I have the option to skip trace it here. This is where we're going to go into here next. We just launched, I don't know if you knew about this, Dan, but we just launched the dialer campaign in here. Whoo, this is good. This is really good. Because before you'd need to obviously export the list and start calling or just pick up your phone and look at the number on the screen and dial it. but now we have an integrated dialer. Before I show you that, I'm going to click on this last one that I want to talk about, which is the automator. This is really, really powerful because back in the day, you would create this list and it would be a static list, right? This 99 was today and today only. What Lead Automator does, it allows you to what I affectionately call babysit the list. So if tomorrow, the next week, next day, next month, there's a new property that meets the criteria that I initially filtered for and searched for, it's going to alert me. It's going to say, "Hey Eddie, there's this one too. What do you want me to do with it?" And that's what it basically asks you. You can add it to this list, you can add it to a different list, or just notify me. The reverse happens too. So if out of these 99, two or three of these no longer meet the criteria for whatever reason, right? Because I selected various criteria, it's going to do the same. So at any given time, you're going to have access to the latest and greatest. So you don't have to worry about, oh, did anything new come up? Because you already know. So really, really powerful segment there. But we've got the list of 99. I'm going to show you first the dialer campaign. Immediately, all I did was click on dialer campaign. And now I have my list of 99 all set up right here, ready to go. This is one of the things we're super, super proud of. Literally, it's a week old. Okay. So now you can start calling right from this spot because I already skip traced this list, remember? So I already pulled in phone numbers and emails. So you're going to have a little bit of a preview of the property, so you know what we're talking about, right? When I'm on the phone with a particular owner, Mr. Wozniak, in this case, and I can click on details and just bring it up real quick. Here is all the phone numbers that are brought up during the skip trace. And it's going to say if it's on the do not call list or not. That's up to you. You can still call it. Obviously, that's entirely up to you in terms of your business and how you handle yourself. If you wanted to dial that number, but it's available to you. For instance, this first one here, I'm going to feel comfortable dialing. And I click on call and I can call now. And it's calling through the website. There's a little bit of setup where you set up three numbers because it's going to alternate your calls. It's not using your number or your phone. It's going to alternate from three different numbers that you get to choose. Obviously you're going to want to choose local area codes, right? So that people, when they get the call, it's going to look like it's a local number because it will be. Okay. And you're going to be right in conversation with Mr. Wozniak immediately. So immediately today I can spend my day and speak to all 99 of these people. And when I'm done with my phone conversation, I can go ahead and update that property status. How did it go? Did I set an appointment? Did I leave a message? They're not interested, et cetera, et cetera. Similar with property tags. If I had a good conversation or if I had visited the property, I can say, oh yeah, this property needs a new roof. So I could add that in. Overgrown lawn, pool damage, et cetera. And I can go in and manage those tags, create custom tags based on what's important to me. And a nice all-important place to just jot down some random notes, right? Dog's name is Frank. He's looking to move to California, whatever it is. One place to keep all those notes and you just keep going. Next, 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 and start dialing and start having conversation. I see there's a question popped up.
Oh yeah. So will you integrate with like other CRMs like Go High Level? Like, is there a way to take the data from here and shove it over
Yeah,
to
great,
maybe a
great question,
CRM that you're
Steve.
already
So yeah,
using?
there's two ways here to do this. So as I mentioned earlier, you can push this list of 99 we created and push it into Batch Dialer, which again is our sister company, right? So you could push it over there and start dialing there. There's just more tools in there. It's more built for larger scale, more calling, more volume, and obviously there's more features inside when you call and how you manage your calls, et cetera, right? So that's really more for team or high volume. But yes, you could export them. There's no API or direct integration. But as I mentioned to you before, if we go back to the list, this list, you could just export it. And I just did it. And then import it into Go High Level or wherever CRM you want to manage it. So you could do all your searching here if that's the way your business works best. You could do all your searching, do your skip trace, pull all this contact information, which you see all these 99 are done, right? They're all here. And export it and put it into wherever you need to put it. Thank you for the question. All right. And so then from here as well, beyond the calling, we can also do a postcard campaign. So you can launch a postcard. Let me show you really the entire suite of the marketing besides the calling, which I just shared with you. Here's an example. Now switch gears with me. I think I mentioned earlier about this senior example, right? People that are older looking to downsize from really large homes into smaller homes. Just bear with me because this is one that's kind of already set up for us in this case. With Propstream, what you're going to be able to do with this list of 99 is create. I have it open here. Do I have it open? I don't have it open. No problem. I'll just bring it up here. You can create the whole marketing campaign. And in my opinion, it's all revolved around an effective landing page. With that list of 99 and your next list of 300 and your next list of 127, whatever it is, right? Every one of those lists that you create inside of PropStream with a different type of person, different type of seller, different type of situation, the effectiveness is going to be dependent on how good and nuanced you are in your conversation with them. And that's all going to be supported by these marketing assets. So you can see this landing page right here that I created. Obviously, you would switch out your logo, but you see the picture, the image that I selected. It's very intentional. Lovely older couple, clearly packing, and there's this two-story staircase in the back, so it's clearly a two-story home, right? So for those of you that are looking for investment properties, right, you would also look for something that's contextual, similar, looks like the market that you're in, right? And use those images. And then in here, I chose something again that was very specific to the situation. Have you thought about downsizing? Get all your questions answered about the real estate market, what it means for you, and the options you have to find the next perfect home. Contact us below and get access to our guide. I just spun up a quick ChatGPT guide, which you could do, right? So if you're there to solve someone's problem, which is what we're all here to do, right? And find the opportunity inside of solving their problem, speak to that. Create something of value for them. And that's what I did in this particular instance. And then, of course, a few more contextual images. Another nice older couple, lovely here, sitting looking at the computer. What are they looking at? Well, I'm imagining they're looking at their next little condo here on the water, downsizing from that big home. And then a contact form. Where do you think this goes when they fill it out? It's going to come back to you. And this is a unique URL that you get to create for each one of your lists. And I would encourage you to market it to no limit. Put it on your social. Copy and paste this. Put it anywhere you want to put it. Create a QR code, right? Start branding yourself as the person who solves these types of problems with very specific content. Now, how are people going to land on that page besides you maybe posting on social media or maybe texting it to somebody? You can also create a postcard. This would be the accompanying postcard, if you will. I'm sorry, email. This is an email. And it's similar talking points, right? And it's going to pre-populate it with their name. You can, of course, change the text in here, right? Change the colors, change the fonts, change the logos, all that stuff. We know how that works. But if they click on this blue button, where do you think it's going to take them? With this Learn More button at the bottom of the email. Here, right? And then lastly, the postcard. Again, another accompanying effort. And now you're not sending hundreds and hundreds. We're only sending 99. And the cost is 46 cents per postcard. Okay. And so QR code, where do you think that QR code goes if you scan it with your phone right now? It's going to go to that landing page. You can use these independently or all together. I recommend all together, again, because we're not sending thousands and thousands where it's costing us a lot of money, which again, as an entrepreneur, it's important to pay attention to the money that's going out, just as important as the money that's coming in. More important than money that's coming in. We got to make sure it's coming in, right? But you see now you have a whole ecosystem. Let me go back here. Excuse me for clicking around so much. Now you have a whole ecosystem for this particular avatar, this particular niche, this particular person. So we've built a list based on the people we need to reach. We've pulled all the information so we know how to contact them. We can immediately start calling them. We can create marketing assets around it, a landing page that will live forever because you can reuse it anywhere else. It's not locked into PropStream. Take that, copy and paste it out of the place and start branding yourself. And that's my space really is how are you saying it? When are you saying it? How careful are you with your words and your thoughts? and how are you connecting with those people that need you? Because if I give this list of, let's just say this list of 99 to Dan, and I give it to Scott, and I'm not picking on you, Scott, but if I Scott, let's just say Scott's brand new to the business, and Dan's been a champ for years. Dan's effectiveness on that list of 99 is going to be much higher than Scott's, right? So just because the list is good, you also have to up level your skills. So it's not, these aren't silver bullets, these 99, you still have to also improve how you handle those conversations. That's what I got for you. Questions? Dan?
No, thanks, Eddie. That's awesome. Yeah, and I think Gina just asked a question at the end. She asked if there's a team price for the levels in the PropStream offers.
There is. Yeah, there is. We do. I'll show you here real quick. If you don't mind, I'll just bring that. I think I have that screen up as well here. One of these windows. There it is. So this is the essentials that I mentioned, right? Where you're paying for the marketing pieces a la carte. The skip tracing a la carte. The Pro is where you now have the skip tracing and the lead automator included. Okay. And the automator was that function that babysits your list, right? Keeps them relevant and up to date all the time. It also gives you access to a higher monthly save. I mean, most people don't really bust through even this
Yeah,
25,000.
that's the tier I have, and like I'll never in my life skip trace 50,000. Yeah.
There you go. I mean, it's an obnoxious number, right? So you're safe to say you're good. And then the question was, for teams here in the pro level, you also benefit from two full access team members included. So there's no extra at that point, besides obviously moving up to pro. And then if you move to elite, because you've got a huge operation running, then that's 9 team members added. And that's at $6.99 a month.
Yeah, and then I threw my link in the chat. And full disclosure, that is an affiliate link, but it gets you an extended trial. I think it's like 30 days instead of 7
That's right,
if you
because
use
we
that
usually
one.
only give the 7, but for our partners, we absolutely
Uh,
offer that up for 30 days. So take advantage of that. And if, take advantage if you want to go to propstream.com, if you want to join us for our daily webinars, because we host these every single day, right? So if you want to bring up the skills and the kind of the process and the discipline up a little bit, and then take action on the 30-day trial. That way you're not kind of spinning your wheels in there. That's a little tidbit there.
no, that's perfect. Well, Eddie, thanks so much for doing this. I really appreciate it.
No, absolutely. I hope this was all helpful for everybody and just kind of gives everyone, an idea of kind of there's a discipline out there. You just got to hone into it and start having conversations. That's everything. When I first started my real estate career, and I've never erased that board, at the corner of the board, there's a number 72. Because back in the day when I started and I started tracking my numbers, I realized that if I had 72 conversations, it equaled a closed deal. So get to a point where you're having these kinds of disciplines because you're only going to get closer and closer and better and better.
Nice. Well, thanks again. Appreciate it.
Of course.
All right.
Good luck, everyone. Thank you so much.